Everything we know, from people and ants to stars and galaxies to quarks and atoms, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer inside an even bigger universe. Ancient philosophers said that the universe is a dream that we're waiting to wake up from. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. All cultural items, from the dreams of our rodent-like ancestors, to books, to television shows, are merely permutations of the reality we think we live in. Today's age of computers and video games places simulations at the center of our cultural consciousness. A select group of us perform simulations for fun and profit, and we call them games, role-playing and otherwise. We live to run simulations. Join us on the Simulationist podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Simulationist podcast. This is the 156th iteration of the show, recorded on the 30th of August 2015. My name is Josh Trelevin, and with me as always,
co-host extraordinaire Ryan Kirkby.
Host Ryan Kirkby. Hey Ryan, how are you this week?
Not too bad, all things considered. Gas is going lower. We're getting a little precipitation on the ground. Hooray!
Yeah.
Did have a nasty little windstorm, though. Several thousand people in Victoria and Vancouver without power. Some of which apparently are going to be without power till midnight tonight. So it's like not just like, oh, a little like transformer blew out. Mm-hmm. This is some major, like repairs they're going to have to do. And apparently it's repairs going all the way through the province. What with the windstorm that blew on by.
Oh, I didn't really notice. We had, although
there were some pretty intense winds. It wasn't very long. No, not a big sustaining, but it was forceful when it came on through.
We had a tree fall over just in the park near our, my parents' place.
I'll see your tree falls over and raise you a 4-alarm blaze just down the road from where I was working. Although I don't think it was actually related to the windstorm. It just happened to coincide very oddly with it. But yeah, the police and the firefighters have just been absolutely swamped these last few days ever since everything blew over. A lot of repairs going on. And, apparently you blow enough wind and all of a sudden you start setting off alarms. And all of a sudden, okay, we've got to check out like 140 alarms every 6 hours.
Yeah, and people say nothing happens in Victoria.
Boring old people stuff happens, I'll tell you that. But, you know what, honestly, I was just happy to get a little precipitation. It was like, go outside. The air smells so much fresher after a long drought and then a good rain.
Yeah, it's nice. I guess, fall coming up on us. Kids are going back to school.
Yeah, it's about a week from now.
Yeah, school zones are going to be back in effect.
I have always acted as though the school zones were always in effect. I know you're not supposed to because, there's not going to be any students here. But no, it's a good habit to stay in. You don't want to get out of the habit and wind up doing 45, 50 in a 30 zone and wind up smucking some poor kid.
Well, it's funny. I notice every fall, though, I guess they get out a whole bunch of police, start that first couple of weeks of school, and they like to... I don't know if they're actually trying to catch people or just trying to, show their presence.
I think it depends on how much the department needs more funds.
Yeah, I don't think we're not that bad off in Victoria.
So in which case it's just going to wind up being more of a show of force, like, hey, remember to slow down or you could lose your car.
Yeah, I think they just like to be visible so that people are like, oh, yes, right.
Well, not everyone has kids, so not everyone's got that in the front of their mind. Oh, yeah, school starts up soon.
Yeah.
But like I said, I always treat it as though it's in a session. School is always in session. There is no summer, a break. Yeah. And that way I don't get out of the habit of slowing down in the school zones.
It is a little... People talk about now with our modern society, we don't even have farming anymore.
You don't need to go out and help out with the farming during the summer months.
Maybe there shouldn't be that whole summer... Or maybe summer break should be shorter and winter break and spring break longer or something like that.
Divide it all up into a 3-part system. Yeah. I can dig it.
But I guess I don't know why I don't know who makes those decisions. So
the government, and it's not a hot topic issue, so they're not going to make any decisions on it.
I'm sure some people care about it, but not me, not this guy.
I care about it from the perspective of a solid education, and the long summers apparently do hinder young minds from retaining knowledge.
Yeah, it's better to have a shorter break so they're back into the swing of things. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not going to have to, be personally, conscious about it for a little bit yet, because my daughter's a few years away from kindergarten. But if it winds up being that she has to be in school all year round, well, good for me, and eases up the pressure on the daycare system during the summer months.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So there's always that. But yeah, that's real world news. This is a Simulationist. We're talking about things that never really happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of things that never really happened, what never really happened with you this week, Josh?
Yeah. Well, I played some D&D, so we had a fantastic
The
D&D
D&D actually happened, but the session and the events thereof didn't really happen.
Right, they didn't. Roll for Initiative, which is an event that anyone can go to if they have $10. That happens once a month here in Victoria. And we had a slightly bigger turnout. Still not great numbers, but we're getting better.
Well, like a school's going to start up, man. You're going to get in your nerd and groove.
Yeah, if we have, I don't know if our listeners, if we have university students out there listening.
What if they were able to get enough people that instead of charging money for the DMs, they would pay the DMs to do professional stuff? I'd sit down, I'd put my A game into it, sort of thing, have a session going if I was getting paid for it.
Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
I've been mulling over in my head, and I know there is a live D&D show that happens in Vancouver.
Oh, yes.
It's called Critical Hit, and I watched a version of that. As
good crew.
Victoria. But yeah, that's something I've always kind of wanted to try, is sort of a mix of theater and D&D, like have sort of a group of players, in air quotes, players, and a DM, and they're like the performers. They're like who you pay to see, and then the crowd pays. It's like watching a show, but they'd have to be really good, I don't know, entertainers and stuff. So something to work towards, I think.
Yeah,
I'd like to put on a show like that.
I'm wondering if there would be a nice online model for that, where you effectively have some sort of 3D modeler thing going through the motions. But that might take a lot of middlemen to make that work.
So something like that. Like people have done podcasts, played a D&D game and just turned it into a podcast. And I think some people have a video version. Wizards has a video version, Wizards of the Coast.
Acquisitions Incorporated, I believe.
There's also that, but yeah, you can go to the Wizards of the Coast website or their YouTube page, and you can see them play various ones of their campaigns that are that they sell. Yeah, and they're.
I don't know. It always seems a little spoilery for me. It's like no. I don't want to learn. No, what's the chop down that quarter? No, don't tell me. I
suppose if you expect that you might be playing that in one of those as a player, you probably don't want to go. They're not like tens of thousands of views. Well, there might be tens of thousands, but they're not like. It's not like everybody watches those shows either.
Yeah,
they don't have the super highest viral view count, but a fair number. It's in the thousands.
Yeah,
it's people
doing pretty good. I wouldn't mind thousands of people listening to us every week.
That's true. Yeah, that'd be nice. So yeah, people are kind of doing like little things here and there. So it's something to keep an eye on. Oh, and you know who else does it is the Will Wheaton show.
Yes. Titan's Grave.
The Titan's Grave one. Yeah. Yeah, so there's some people kind of,
There's an audience for it.
Yeah.
Not quite ready for an ESPN channel, though.
Yeah.
Hey, they've done ESPN with Magic the Gathering. So, we're not quite at that stage. Not a bad notion.
Yeah.
So yes,
how did we get to that?
Did your character survive the session?
Oh, yeah.
Give us the details.
I did. I played my wizard. We had another wizard at the table, too. It was the same.
Did you kill him and take
character.
His spellbook?
No.
Oh.
We worked together as a team, as you should in D&D.
Well, yeah, for a prolonged one, that sort of thing.
I suppose, yeah. Well, this is fun. Yeah, this Roll for Initiative group, it's often the same. So it's probably in the best interest you don't kill. It's not always the same groups, and it's sort of in between, sort of the regular kind of campaign and the one-offs. And Alex was running it, and he he kind of keeps a little bit of continuity going from adventure to adventure. So it's almost like having a regular gaming group, pretty much.
Dig it.
Yeah, or once a month gaming group, anyways. Yeah.
Hey, I won't lie. Right now, that's better than the frequency we got going for our game.
That's true. Yeah.
Darn these weird hour shifts.
Yeah. And yeah, we went into a haunted house, with a guy who thought he was a vampire. I guess it's a bit of a spoiler in case he ever runs that adventure again. But he turns out he wasn't a vampire.
He was a werewolf, wasn't he?
He was just a, like...
was he a half-elf and didn't even know it? And it's just like, these pointed ears, I must be a vampire.
Oh, that would have been good.
His adoptive parents never actually explained to him what the pointy ears meant.
It's weird though, like, for some reason, like, he sent us, the guy, like the, NPC guy, he sent us along on this adventure to...
We'll call him Plot Hook.
His old house, Plot Hook. What was did he have a name? Victor von Glaus is his name.
The Plot Hook.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he sent us to this house, and we were going in, and then, like, us as the players, we were like, oh, why don't you come with us, Victor? And we, like, we said some convincing things, and we're like, you'll be fine, we'll protect you. And then we rolled some persuasion dice or whatever. And then, so basically he came along with us through all the rooms, like every room. It's like, Victor, what is this? And he's like telling us, oh, that's the harpsichord thing that my wife used to like, and there's all these little things that he's pointing out, like what they are. It felt a little bit like
going through a museum tour.
Well, it felt like we weren't supposed to. Like in Dungeons, it's like, oh, what is that mysterious painting of a mysterious woman? And then
so
Victor, what is that?
You've never beaten up a local goblin and took him hostage to be your tour guide of the dungeon?
Well, dungeons are one thing, but this was like a mansion, with paintings, and like goblins may have paintings, but it's like, who is that? It's just someone decided to draw a funny face of a goblin.
That's Squeakums. He was never the quietest goblin. We put him out in like a scouting group just for laughs. He never came back. The elves got him. And so we put this picture of Squeakums with his funny face up here, and we all laugh every time we see it. Because he was hilarious and we got him killed. And this has been your goblin narration and tour guide.
Yeah. But
do you think you could roll high enough on a persuasion check to actually convince a goblin to be your tour guide? Give him a few coins and you don't kill him, and he winds up leaving a little richer, and all the companions he's had to like live with or his entire creepy little goblin life. He just like, he flips them off as you're slaughtering them.
It depends on your DM, I think.
He doesn't help much for any of the actual battles, but he is there giving you moral support as he's double deucing all his former war inmates. This is what you guys get for not giving me everything I ever wanted. I imagine goblins are very easy to bribe on that sort of concept.
Probably, yeah. I guess you still haven't watched Community yet, but the second Dungeons & Dragons episode, I think they did 2 altogether.
Yeah, you told me about a second one, so it must be at least 2.
But yeah, they capture one of the goblins and sort of interrogate him and get him to turn against the other goblins.
Which is not, I think, a very hard thing to do. They're not known for their incredible loyalty.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because when the adventurers aren't around, what are they doing? They're fighting each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a goblin way of life,
Yeah.
So yes, what else have you been doing this week?
Yeah, I played D&D at Roll for Initiative. Yeah, by the way, our listeners can check that out, Roll for Initiative. They have a website now.
Google it, Bing it.
So rollforinitiative.ca.
Yahoo it. Alta Vista it.
Or just type into your URL bar, rollforinitiative.ca.
Fair enough.
And that's the easy thing about having
This is why we don't have sponsors.
It's one less step.
We could have had Alta Vista as a sponsor, but no, you've usurped me in my attempt to get us sponsorships.
Yeah, that's true.
Harsh, dude.
We have to get a sponsor that I believe in.
You don't believe in Alta Vista giving you money? I believe they can give us money.
Actually, we probably could get an Amazon affiliate link. Those are not actually that hard to get, but then who would use it? But
well, see, I'd feel conflicted because given the nature of our topics, we'd have people buying likely, D&D gaming supplies, whereas I am a staunch supporter of your friendly local, gaming shop.
Yeah, that's true, but you can't always get exactly the same stuff from your local gaming shop.
If it's a good gaming store, you should at least be able to order it. Like where I grew up, it was not a big town, but the catalog was always there. And if you want it, you could order it through the catalog, and it would go through there. They take their profit, but you know what? At least you can get it, because this was back in the 90s before, you know, like there was even like an eBay or Google or, you know, thing going on for some of it. It was horrible.
Okay. Well,
primitive life we were living.
Now
back
who's
then.
undermining who here?
Well, that's the thing, you know. Like
this is why we don't have sponsors.
Well, this is before like most of the search engines that are currently in popular use existed. You had to go through these routes, and I want to show my support for making sure that I could be a gamer in such a destitute small town where there was not a big demand for gaming supplies. So that's why you know, like, I wear, you know, that on my sleeve there, man. Just support your friendly local gaming store, man.
All right. Anyways, with that out of the way.
SkyhavenGames.com.
Yeah, that's all right. That's if you're in Victoria, that's a place you can go. Skyhaven Games.
So yes.
What else? A little bit of Minecraft. A little bit, basically just a lot of chopping down trees because I'm still I think I mentioned this on last week's. I'm just collecting
resources.
as much of those logs as I can because I want to make like a garden out of with really fancy walls and stuff and like trees and everything. But yeah, I need all that wood. So I need a chest full of each wood type is my goal, and I just about have it. The last kind of wood I need is the acacia wood. You
really should consider the Thaumcraft stuff.
That's cheating.
It's not cheating. It takes a lot of time and effort and little mini games to get the golems you want, and then you got to figure out how to do it right.
Well, yeah, maybe I should.
Well, that said, Magic's not your style. They do have technological equivalents. You can get a turtle to do it for you with turtle command prompts.
A turtle. Well, there's some technology for you.
Well, it's turtle is in the technical term wherein it will accept
it's a name
simple
for a robot.
Yeah, it will accept simple commands. It's called a turtle.
Like TURTLE, with a period in between each.
Yeah, and you do like turtle harvest, turtle move, and all that.
Terminal, unrelenting, terminal, logistics engine.
Good enough for me. But yeah, there's options for you on that. Most of them work along with my philosophy of you put more in, you get more out. Chopping down a tree is nice. But if you take the time and the effort to build a golem in a nice little harvesting location, and something, you'd need one golem to harvest the trees when they pop up, one golem to collect all the stuff as it falls off, into pieces, and then one golem to replant the trees. So if you're going to spend the time and the infrastructure to get 3 golem system going in, sometimes more if you want to sort things out a little bit better, But yeah, if you want a minimum 3 golem system in there, you spend the time and the energy for it. You deserve to have. Hey, you've got 4 long boxes full of wood. That's one of the reasons why I like the Tinker's Construct. Is you take the extra time to get the pieces put in, design the whole thing as you like it. You get a better weapon out there. More in, more out.
All right. Well, that's fair enough.
That's my argument.
And aside from that, I guess I've been going to a few comedy shows. Don't exactly count as simulations in any way, but
I still think they qualify as some simulation. I don't think anybody has ever told comedy based on complete truth.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're telling stories. You're reshaping reality
into a comedic format.
Yeah. So comedy shows on Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week, and then this coming week, we got some more of that.
Dig it.
So
awesome.
I think that's been about pretty much what I've been up to in simulations. So what are you?
Well, let's see. I finally started using up the last of the space inside my town in my Minecraft. I wanted to have 3 buildings, a nice trading outpost sort of thing, a cathedral, something really nice, something really classy, and a nice little spot to put my booze and my food in, make a little tavern sort of spot, make it look nice and homey. And so it took a little while to figure out the numbers, because I was going to, how the large cathedrals in Europe, and I suppose some in North America, their floor plan is designed to look like a cross, because they're Christian churches, so you have to look like a cross, right? Well, I decided to take the image off of the temple, for the desert temples, and use that as my floor plan.
Oh, yeah.
So it's effectively 6 blocks long, 3 blocks wide, and then I had to figure out what size these blocks were going to wind up being. So I had to crunch some numbers. Thank goodness I had the thermostatic harness so I could fly up in the air and do some looky-loos and say, okay, if this goes this way, this goes that way. And then I had to fit in the roads in between everything. And my road's like 15 blocks wide. So it was like, Next time I build a city, I think I might make it a little bit more narrow. I don't need 5 blocks on either side and a 5-block, spot for a tree in the center. I might shorten it down to a 9-spot wide, 3, 3, and a 3 middle instead.
Okay, yeah.
And just a little bit more of a space saver. But once I finally got all those proportions worked out, I realized my cathedral's going to have a lot of room in the front. Put some grass up there. Started thinking immediately to like Diablo 2 with their outer cloister and all that stuff that they have for the Act 1 cathedral. Or I guess the rogue monasteries, rather, what it was. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I'll put some grass down here and I'll start designing stuff up for it. And I got the grass down. A little bit of grass, a lot of dirt, and let nature take its course, right? Mm-hmm. And so I go to bed, sleep the night away. Because I'm still, even though it's a secure location, I'm still sleeping every night. I don't know why, but I am. Oh well.
Okay.
And then I wake up the next morning to go and start laying more of the foundation for my weird, crazy pattern cathedral. And there's 3 bears sitting on my lawn. A grizzly bear, a black bear, and a panda bear. And it's just like, because as it turns out, I've got the Mo Mods thing from the Mozark guy.
Okay.
And he's got a thing in where creatures will spawn. If there's like space for creatures to spawn and the conditions are right, a creature will spawn. Turns out one of the conditions for most creatures is grass.
Yeah, that's how it used to be in Minecraft way back.
Yes, and that's what it's designed to emulate, is that old style that many of the people still miss. So that's one of the 2 parts of the mod when you download it. It doesn't work with the other one, so. I had done it before with a little bit of green patch in my town, and I wound up with some insects. Look, a little lightning bug. And I've still got a few dragonflies floating around my town, and I think there's a cricket somewhere, because I keep hearing them at night. I know it's night when the cricket goes off. And so now I'm wondering, like, oh my goodness, like, am I going to have to start fighting elephants randomly on my church lawn? Like, what sort of crazy world have I suddenly set up for myself?
These bears, were they hostile when you?
I didn't get too close, but it's not like they, were seeking me out the same way zombies do.
Okay, so you didn't. Are they still there then?
They're still there. That's kind of where I saved the game at the end of it. It's like, just blew my mind. Oh my goodness, am I gonna have to start dealing with creatures all the dang time? So it's like, okay, I'll just pause it here, and then I'll come back to it at some other point. And that other point hasn't come up yet. I do believe bears are considered a hostile mob, though, in that you get too close to them and they will attack.
Right.
The way I see it is if the wild boars will attack you for being too close, then a bear probably should. Although I wonder if I shouldn't make another one of those soul crystals and just start sucking in bear souls so I can make a bear spawner whenever I darn well feel like it.
You should. Totally.
The concept of just being able to set up some sort of crazy trap where it's like, oh yes, and then it spawns bears! Ha ha ha! Well, the fun thing is that, like, right now I have spots inside my entry towers to get in. I was going to put them up with, golems that would attack, any hostile mobs. But now that I'm thinking about it, I could put, like, a redstone current to have it connect up. A creature walks on it and spawns, like, bears! All of a sudden the creeper's got to fight some freaking bears, man. Oh, yeah. And the one thing I've noticed is creepers do not blow up unless they're at you.
Oh, yeah.
So, hooray! As long as it's not me there, I don't have to worry about it. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of reading into the Warhammer 40,000 universe.
Okay, Warhammer.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, I had a few questions, and I was look it up, and the next thing I got 7 pages open looking at various different things. I found a few very good weapons to use for a supervillain if I ever need it. Series of psychic brains that get zapped at the right order to manifest their psychic powers. I'm not psychic, but I got 4 brains on my back that say I can do the same darn thing. So I was like, whoa, I got to put some stats for that, baby. But I was reading up on the Space Marines, because they're kind of like a core essential feature of the entire setting.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, a single Space Marine should qualify power-wise as a superhuman in the tri-stat setting. I haven't put out the stats for it yet, but I'm looking around at the thing, and I think if I make just like an off-the-rack standard, like a Astartes, as they call him officially, like a Space Marine, and plunk him down and look at what he can do with the power armor and the Holy Bolter, I think he could qualify past the transhuman fully into the superhuman point range.
Okay, sure.
Which is an interesting thing to think about, because, I mean, they deal with stuff that's so big and bad, they'll go through Space Marines like popcorn. So it's like how powerful is this stuff if, they're eating these guys?
Interesting, yeah.
But the way I'm looking at the numbers, I don't think that they will be more powerful than Inspector Gadget. Like the elite units, maybe. But these, like fresh off of the training base, I think they'll qualify superhuman, but not as powerful as Inspector Gadget. Which is a little weird when you think about it. Inspector Gadget could survive a 40,000 universe. He wouldn't know what's going on. He'd get all the right people confused with all the wrong ones, but he'd survive.
I wonder why, if the world would have been different if they had decided to give Superman more like just sort of that sort of Space Marine level of power.
So not more like pushing planets around Silver Age, superpowers.
Yeah.
Like actually even superpowers.
I don't know if there's any. Well, he's lost his powers in various.
The current status right now is that he is barely super at all.
Oh, okay. So that might be a similar level to the Space Marine?
I'm thinking a Space Marine right now could just beat the crud out of him.
Oh,
like he's having a hard time against hired villains like Harley Quinn and the like.
Yeah.
He needs his girlfriend Wonder Woman to help save his Tuchus. So yeah, I don't think he even qualifies as superhuman at this point. He's just kind of kilo-human at best.
So he's just a strong guy.
Yes. He can't fly. The Fortress of Solitude doesn't recognize him.
And his laser eyes kind of sort of heat up burritos.
He can't even do that. He had to run away from people trying to extort money out of him. Regular people. He probably could have beaten them up, but this is not the Superman way, right?
Yeah.
But
was he in costume?
No, he doesn't have a costume right now.
So he's just Clark Kent then.
Well, everyone his persona is also public now, so everyone knows Clark Kent is Superman. You can't hide it. Lois Lane blew the cover off that story in a very, very badly written article. Anyone online that's reading this article basically points out just how this is not a Pulitzer Prize winning level thing. And Lois Lane has won Pulitzer Prizes for her articles. This is not the quality you expect from Pulitzers.
Who are you accusing then? Are you saying within the universe she's a bad writer?
I'm saying DC Editorial had a lot of options to do a better story of
whoever
this.
they picked to write this story wrote a bad version of...
They wrote a very poor story for Lois Lane blowing the cover.
Okay.
I think the DC, crew could have done a lot better on that one. Lord knows it's not like they can't find the talent out there somewhere. It's like, oh no, who are we going to get to write a news article? Well, it's not like newspaper writers are making money head over fist. They're turning down options to make a little cash on the side. Go to your local newspaper. Lord knows they're hurting for money too. Get somebody to write an article, a professional-looking article for you. Send that in. There you go. Done by Lois Lane. Ghost written by somebody else. I don't know. Maybe it's just a sore point for me. It's like they had the option to do better, and then it's just like, oh, this is a poorly... I've read it, so this is not a well-written article.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even need to say this is definitely someone who should win a Pulitzer, but it's just like, yeah, this is somebody who makes money doing it, and it doesn't look like somebody made money writing this article. Oof.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna have to wind up spending some time making a Space Marine in the Tri-Stat system just to check out the power level of it.
So if a Space Marine got stranded on Earth in the 1950s, and I don't know if the Space Marine ethos is anything like the Boy Scout ethos of Superman.
Punish the heretic, burn the Xeno.
Okay, yeah, it's not.
No. No, in the grim, dark future of the universe, there is only war. And most of them believe compassion is a weakness. So they are clearly not along the Superman morality.
So that's, okay.
But you go back to like this, like the Golden Age Superman sort of thing, before he was like flying. I think they could give him a fair match. Reoccurring villain sort of thing, I suppose. If they're fighting Superman in the Golden Age, they can't be a hero.
Right. Okay.
So they have to wind up being a villain.
So yeah, Superman versus Space Marines. What about like thousands of Space Marines?
As it turns out, you can't have thousands of Space Marines together anymore. There's a whole thing about like how that was bad because it was all led by one person, and that caused almost the destruction of all humanity.
Well, how many do you get at a time then?
From what I have the Codex Space Marines. You'll be lucky to get a few dozen together for most formations. An entire chapter might have 1,000 all total. Some of the largest, most prolific chapters might have 4,000 spread across their sector of space.
Okay.
But that's like the highest end sort of thing, and those are the people that aren't exactly following all the rules. But yeah, by and large, so say Silver Age. No, well, maybe not Silver Age Superman. Silver Age Superman was like blasting planets apart if you felt like it. But we'll go, the more modern era, post reboot, 1986 sort of thing. I think a Space Marine Legion could really get him down, on his knees, kneel before his odds, sort of thing.
Okay, but Batman, on the other hand,
Batman gets shredded. Batman wouldn't go down on his knees, and they don't have room and time for mercy. Batman gets flechette. His body armor says nothing to their weapon power. So he's basically running around in the tights from the golden era, sort of thing. There's no body armor for him.
Okay.
So they take out him. They might lose to Wonder Woman though, because she's a warrior born and bred. She's got more tactical sense than Superman and still around the same power level.
Okay, yeah.
I think she'd fare a lot better against them. She might be able to take down a squadron.
All right.
I could see that happen.
And Captain America?
Captain America, he might make them feel remorse. I don't know if he'd win, but him being the pinnacle of humanity and them being like transhuman pinnacles of humanity themselves, they would not enjoy their victory, because he's clearly not, powered by chaos and the ruinous powers. He's clearly not an alien of any form. He is, for all intents and purposes, as close to a Space Marine as they're going to see in most comic universes.
Okay.
So they would likely have conscience happening on them if they're fighting him. They'd win. I think his shield would protect a lot of flak. They'd be very happy and impressed. They would wear his shield proudly afterwards.
Okay.
But they would feel regret at having to put him down for some sort of whatever reason they had for fight. Which is, I guess, maybe the best thing you can say about it. I mean, Captain America is, he's just a single man at the pinnacle of humanity's height. But that's kind of what the definition of a Space Marine is. So one-on-one, Captain America doesn't have the power armor that they do, so he's a bit undergunned that way. An entire platoon, is going to take him. But they're going to feel bad about it later.
Okay.
And that's the true power of Captain America, is to influence your heart, or in their case, hearts. They have an extra heart. It helps blood flow, apparently, and the first heart cuts out.
Captain Planet?
No, he just had Ma-Ti, who had the power of heart.
Oh, that was one of his guys.
Apparently, the most powerful of the Planeteers. Without Ma-Ti, Captain Planet just wouldn't give a dang.
Huh.
Because you need heart to care about the planet you're on, man.
do, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you got these fantastic elemental powers. If you don't care, you're not doing any good. Also, Ma-Ti could apparently, influence people's minds, but he never abused that power, which marks him as maybe one of the most sterling examples of, responsibility. Yeah, dig it. But I don't know if it was something about reading with the Warhammer universe, but I've gotten the urge to play Dwarf Fortress again. I've always gotten an urge to play Dwarf Fortress. I just don't have the time and energy to really devote properly. You got to get yourself in there, man.
Yeah.
But my urge to play is getting stronger. Something about punish all the greenskins and let them burn to the ground speaks to the dwarfy nature of a fortress.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll have Space Marines, but I will have squatty Marines. half-size little squats.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good, because they did have dwarves in like the first couple editions of Warhammer 40k, and then they got killed. So maybe I'll see if they got like a Warhammer 40k mod for Dwarf Fortress, and just get all my urges out at once. And that's been about the long and the short of it. Aside from a book I picked up for my daughter. We turned down the wrong aisle at a Dollarama, and it was the Halloween aisle getting set up, and then all of a sudden she was practically jumping around at the sight of all this candy, and it's Halloween, I want to go trick-or-treating right now, Daddy. And so I figured, the book was $2, most of the candy was $2. She can only eat the candy once, but she can buy the book, read the book multiple times, so it's a better purchase price. And it's a story about a kid that stops, trick-or-treating at Halloween, goes out into a forest made out entirely of bones, with skeletal animals haunting and chasing. Book? Yeah. This is a Halloween Forest by Marion Dane Bauer. It's like the artwork is illustrated by John Shelley, and it's really good artwork. It's like crazy, creepy stuff going on there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. I mean, especially at the price I paid for it. I mean, you got a kid that likes Halloween, and what kid doesn't like Halloween?
Kids love Halloween.
This is going to wind up being something that will help sate their interest in it and make them a little less whiny until Halloween comes up. Because they'll still be hyped for Halloween, and Halloween's always fun when you got kids. But already my friends are posting up on Facebook oh, my kid wanted to go trick-or-treating, and they had a tantrum when I had to say no, because it's not time to trick-or-treat yet. You're off by 2 months, kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, a nice little Halloween, forest book, yeah. So yay, a wonderful book purchase this week, and it means I technically got extra reading done, so my reading list didn't go up. As I said, I got 10,000 pages of reading to do, and I spent a lot of it reading online stuff, about all sorts of crazy things happening in the 40k universe.
Are you counting how many pages you read, and setting a goal for that?
No, it's just I look at my one shelf over there that is sagging under the weight of all these books I have that I need to get around to properly reading before I catalog. And then it's oh, that's got to be it. Wait on that. 10,000 pages of reading.
Yeah, probably.
Plus, it's something nice to keep me off the computer all the time. I could be just playing, like a Dwarf Fortress and Minecraft until my eyes start to bleed. But that's not healthy for me. So I got to mix up my fiction. Got a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
That was just why I took a break from reading my Warhammer 40k and read some, Ravenloft stuff too. I am loving their the wiki site they've got for it. So much stuff, so much wonderful stuff. Hooray! But nothing new there. Just browsing over it and remembering things. Just visiting an old friend that way.
Cool.
Yeah. So yes, we do have a proper main topic this week.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We do indeed. I wanted to talk about how to put this. The Nexuses, the Locuses, the Focuses, the central areas, sort of the
hub.
Well, yeah, maybe a hub, a planar hub, where you start in one sort of central area, like say for Dungeons and Dragons, for example, like a campaign. And there are branches off into either other dimensions or other, I guess, countries. Or
Sigil is, for instance, a very good example in D&D.
Yeah.
It's the city of portals.
Yes.
Or if you know how to, well, sometimes just getting the activation for the portals half the adventure.
That's right.
But yeah, depending on how you what you know and where you go, you can go anywhere in the multiverse. All their wonderful cosmic realities of 2nd edition, and I guess if you're playing, beyond that, whatever edition you're in.
Yeah, so I thought we could kind of go over some different, examples and why you would use one rather than the other, or
okay, because I think they have a few of them listed up in D&D. For instance, there is one place in 3rd edition. They used to have a race called the Arcane, which were merchants that bought magic items, and they used it. People joked they used it as a marital aid, because it was stated in 2nd edition that it was used in part of their procreation. They needed magical energy to make more of these arcane.
Okay.
And they had a good style, but they changed them up for a little bit of a purple, richer purple style, bigger ears, and they called them the Mercane in 3rd edition.
Yep. All right.
And they had their own planner, like a demi-plane sort of thing, with a decent amount of connections that could qualify as a hub. But for that, it was never meant to be like a transit hub. You don't go from A to B. You just go from all points to this location, and from that location you make purchases, and you go back wherever the heck it is you came from. We've got your money, leave. Or your magic items now, go.
Okay.
As opposed to something like Sigil, which was, a lot of people just trying to survive there. I mean, the lower rungs and all that, the lower ward. But a lot of it was people coming into this neutral ground sort of thing. And you'd have people meeting for other purposes, but you'd also have people going through it. It was the transit hub.
Yeah.
And then you've got the astral plane itself. Getting pretty much anywhere from one plane to another involves going through the astral plane. So it was more of a conduit. You'd go there from A to B, but you never did much. It was never a destination of itself. You go there to go somewhere else. So I think that from that we have at least a few different definitions of what it's like for these planar nexi. Well, I guess we'll just call them hubs.
Sure, yeah, hubs is good. And there's also, there's the plane of mirrors.
Yeah.
Which is mentioned as an alternate in the manual of the plane.
Concordant opposition works as a plane all by itself. It is the plane that connects the other, outer planes together, or so they say.
Oh, which one? Is that the...
The Outlands. Concordant opposition was its old name.
Yeah.
I guess I'm dating myself as a gamer there.
Some maps that have been drawn of the Outlands also put Sigil. That's the name of it, right?
Yeah, Sigil.
In the center of that one. But
well, that's the thing. According to the cosmology, at the outer end of the Outlands, you have your planar portals to all the outer planes of all the alignments. And then it's something like 3 days travel before you hit the central ring part, where powers start negating the further in you go.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to the spire, which is the heart of this weird infinity, I really don't think it should qualify as an infinite plane if you can only go so far in any direction.
Okay.
Give me some time and I can work out some math and I can give you exactly how much space this darn plane occupied. But yeah, you get close to the center and there's this, infinite pillar. And atop the infinite pillar, because somehow you can have an infinite with a top, because crazy fiction world. Yeah. On top of that, that's where Sigil was. Even though looking out the side of Sigil's, because it's got a bit of a Tor shape, so you could wind up looking out the side. No matter which way you look out, you'd never see the top of the pillar. But according to the official lore, in the center of this, there's the pillar. At the top of the infinite pillar, there's Sigil, and that's why it's got so many portals there. It's a perfectly balanced midway point.
Yeah, midway point in the outer planes. They also have something called the Infinite Staircase, which is
I do enjoy that, yes.
Also attached to Sigil, or you can access back and forth.
They are connected to each other.
The Infinite Staircase, yeah.
You know what always struck me as being weird? D&D is heavily based on dungeons, because that's half of its name.
Yeah.
Why didn't they have some sort of a hub plane that was a dungeon? Some sort of Siege Perilous. You have to fight your way from one spot to another instead of, I open the portal and walk on through. It's no. You want to get to this other place? It's going to be a challenge 5 difficulty based on how far the planes are removed, and then you got to fight your way through to get there. Welcome to D&D. Swing your sword.
Maybe that would be too obvious, too easy, or too easy for the DM at least.
It would also explain why there's no pantheon devoted to dungeons.
Right.
God devoted to traps. God devoted to, I guess, the weird slimy things that crawl and creep out there. I mean, you could cobble one together. You get Zugget Moy over here. She's the one of fungus. So you get the, what's-his-face, Jubilex for the slimes. You creepy crawlies. You can get Loth for her spiders.
Mm-hmm.
Cartolmac from the kobolds, you can snag him for the traps in there. So you could makeshift some sort of meta pantheon out of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no pantheon devoted simply to the monsters and the weird things that exist in a dungeon. There's no dungeon pantheon.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of, like, even just the ones published by Wizards, there's a lot of deities out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere there's a deity that has, like, dungeons as part of its portfolio. But it doesn't come to the top of my head right away.
But that's the thing, though. So, I mean, Dungeons & Dragons is, like, dungeons, man. That's a big part of it. Mm-hmm. And there's an entire pantheon devoted to the dragons.
Yeah,
but no pantheon devoted to the horrible things specifically in there.
Not a well-known one. Anyways.
Well, you got pantheons devoted to specific sort of things like the Greek mythos and all that, and then you've got like racial deities with their stuff. It's not just Corellian for the elves. There's an entire group of elven deities, including the dark ones and all that sort of thing. But there's no one thing based on the dungeon itself as a theme. So it's like, oh, come on. You guys are missing out on a whole aspect here.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're listening from Wizards of the Coast, I've got a book idea to publish for you. It's a splat book that's going to get mad sales, I believe.
I suppose, speaking of transitive areas, though, I think the Underdark might actually qualify as something like that, too. Because it's almost like a shortcut between, surface areas, if you know which way to go.
Which is always weird, because you'd think that on the surface you just follow a semi-straight path.
Well,
instead, it's easier to go down and navigate a weird, crazy labyrinth of underground passages and then head back up again.
Maybe shortcut isn't the right word, but it lets you avoid toll booths.
Yeah, or pass.
Or a hostile kingdom in between or something like that.
Fair enough. If I want to get around the Kingdom of Ayuz, I'd rather go... Actually, no, I'd rather just actually go around it, because that way I can see if they're chasing after me.
Yeah, around
There's very little, surprise room when you're going around those Underdark caverns.
You wouldn't want to sneak through the Underdark, I guess.
No, well, especially with Ayuz. I mean, you'd probably keep all sorts of crazy stuff underneath the ground there.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be expecting you to come through that way. So you could kind of fight through the stuff and maybe...
He's a weird one. I don't know what he'd wind up expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put anything past him, which is why I'd make a wide berth around, I think.
That's why I'm wondering, why didn't the hobbits just, in Lord of the Rings, ride a sandworm to Mordor, underground? That's what they should have done.
Yeah, if they could have just gotten one of those dang Earth Eaters that they used in the Hobbit movies. Maybe, because the Earth Eaters so easily align themselves with the orcs, you put an Earth Eater close to Mordor and it would wind up falling sway under the evil eye. And then you're just giving extra power to them. It's like, oh yeah, okay, now just eat everything, underneath, minus Tirith. Or the Helm's Deep, it's like, how are we going to get through Helm's Deep? Well, now we have a subway pass.
That is kind of weird, though, that they used them in The Hobbit, but then they didn't bring them back for the big war in Lord of the Rings.
I think that's because officially they are not supposed to be tameable sort of things. They're the crazy, weird...
So they only live in, where was that, the Misty Mountains?
No, they actually live at the very bottom of the world. If the dwarves had dug deeper and wound up killing that Balrog, and then dug deeper still, they would have hit the World Eaters.
Okay.
They're down at the bedrock of the planet. Some sort of crazy Lovecraftian thing that just got thrown in.
Cool.
I'm not going to say it's not supposed to be there. It's kind of weird how Lovecraft seeps into everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Boy, wouldn't it be awesome if Tolkien had put that in on purpose? I really like this Lovecraft guy. I'm going to put some eaters at the bottom of the world, some Chthonian crazy worms that just eat at the base of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
See if anyone notices. Yeah. Have some fun with this. But yeah, they were brought in because apparently elves would have seen them chopping them over and normally just... Oh, hey. Doesn't matter. Even if you see them coming, they're still on their way. But yes, okay, so what makes the essence for this hub then? Both Sigil and the Mercane trading place, whatever it winds up being called, I forget the name of it.
Okay.
They're both high population centers.
Yeah, they're like trading zones, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's very easy to do trades, across there. You get your minerals from some of the dwarven, cosmologies. You move it on over there, and you sell it at the one area, and they in turn they buy Elysium wheat. So they make some really sweet Elysium booze.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some interesting trades going on there, especially with the more base stuff. But then you go with the astral plane, which, because it's infinite in size and sparsely populated, it's effectively got a population density of 0.
Yeah. So at least you're not going to run into too many hostile creatures.
No, you still run into a lot of hostile creatures thanks to random encounter tables.
Yeah.
Githyanki, huzzah! So yes, it's an infinite plane with very little in there, but you still somehow keep running across psychic warriors on the back of red dragons.
Yeah, because D&D is awesome that way.
It's a weird awesome. Oh, I do recall, actually, from my old copy of the Manual of the Planes, there was a chance at not just meeting, like random stuff, but meeting powerful stuff, like one of the like Lords of Earth, that Oxub guy, I guess they were almost deities, sort of thing, like pseudo-deities for their power level. In the elemental plane of Earth, this thing qualifies as a lesser deity. You could have a chance of finding it in the astral plane. It's the astral plane. It's where everything winds up. 3rd edition said it best, it's where you are when you're not anywhere else.
Okay.
Which is really weird. But it's kind of groovy. So in which case, the conduit is meant to get from A to B, and I guess you're just kind of like skimming over it and just kind of like, whatever, I'm not supposed to be here.
Sure. Yeah.
Despite the fact that you can have portals to anywhere else in the cosmos, there doesn't seem to be a hub point for the astral plane. For some reason.
You mean there's no city, or?
Well, there are cities. There are cities you do not want to go to. There's horrible cities that get Yankee. But there doesn't seem to be like a trading center post. Like, this is where you have to go to get anywhere else in the universe. No trading post. No big trading city in the astral plane.
Right, you just go through it.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a highway, is what it is, man. Like, if there's anything there, it's like one of those small towns on the side of an interstate highway. You stop there, but only to get something, supplies you need. I'm going to get myself a few cheeseburgers, and a new cassette tape, because I'm tired of this current one. And, those old, side things, they have cassette tapes still for sale.
Right.
And so, you get this stuff and then you go. It's not like, I'm stopping here, like it's like even the world's largest ball of twine in this metaphor could wind up being like a demi-plane of some interesting importance.
Okay.
And in that case, it's like you go out of your way to find this demi-plane out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a plane that's nowhere itself. But you don't stop in that plane, you go to the demi-plane just for the weird, crazy, whatever it is they have there.
Yeah, side trek.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to bring an artist with you and just have you pose in front of the cosmos' largest ball of twine?
I would, depending on the adventure we're on.
What if that was the adventure? Your adventure's a vacation. You got to survive through the astral plane to get to this demi-plane that houses a one-of-a-kind, even in multiple infinities artifact.
Yeah.
It can't leave the plane, so you got to go visit it. What do you think about that? Take an artist with you so you can take some nice, paintings when you get back?
I don't know. I don't know if I would do that maybe as a higher level character, I guess, after you've sort of done the main thing. And you have some time off.
I'm starting up on a new campaign sort of thing, but it's going to take me a little bit of work to go through. You guys want to go see Demi-Plane of Minerals or something like that? Or, it's just like a gold waterfall and I don't know, something else like that going on? I'm just making this off the fly. I'm sure you could find better stuff in the elemental plane of Earth, but whatever.
I might want to go there. It occurs to me, though, sort of the destinations often... I feel like I want to do things on the material plane, like sort of waterfalls and fantastical caverns and stuff. Keep it to the material plane, because then you're not worried about, being crushed.
Being attacked by psychic warriors riding red dragons?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And there are, ideally, on a fantasy, this is the thing, fantasy, the genre of high fantasy, is supposed to have these, vistas and castles and, beautiful valleys.
Exciting locations and backdrops
awesome
for the adventures.
Mountain ranges and this.
And you adventure through those to get to the dungeon.
Well, that too, yeah. But then, it's oh no, that's not good enough. We have the planes, or the extraplanar realities, which are just completely mind-boggling.
Well, maybe it works on a bit of a different sense, sort of thing. The prime material planes can wind up having stuff that humanity and demi-humanity has made themselves, whereas the planes, the outer planes, they're for more natural wonders. Like, I remember one bit over in the Eberron setting, the dwarves decided to take their wonderful, most beloved king and use a lot of stone-shaped spells and all that to effectively turn the side of a mountain into his face, like Mount Rushmore, but like so big, clouds. When I first saw the image they had of it, I thought it was just like, like one of those weird things, like you look above the clouds and there's the ghostly image of the greatest dwarven king watching over his people. It's like, no, that's the side of the largest mountain now housing his face. It's like, oh my God, he's larger than Simba's dad in the sky. Oh, something like that. That's something that they have done. Whereas you go to like Ysgard, it's like flying continents. It's like no one made that. It's just natural property of it, man. You go there for the flying continents, you don't want to see what people have done on there. Yeah. You go to the plane of Limbo to go see the wonderful like monasteries. Maybe that's as close as you get. That's something that some other humanoid has made in there. That's what makes it so special. Okay, picture this though. Giant waterfall. Not deep sort of thing, but very wide. Something like those Victoria Falls they've got.
Okay. On the top, I think just before, all the water plunges off, you've got a bridge set in there. Just right along the side sort of thing, just above where the water falls, so you get that misty nature going on there. It's beautiful. Okay. At the center, large chunk of rock converted to a monastery.
All right. Now you got to pay a toll to get from one side to the other. And it's a very wide river sort of thing, and the waterfall going on. So there's not much else for routes. But that you go there and you see the site of the monastery just on the side of the waterfall before it looks like it's ready to topple at any moment over the side. Mm-hmm. Something that humanity, something the mortals have built. Yeah. That's what you go for. That's what you go for. You don't go to out in the middle of the wilderness to see these wonderful waterfalls. You go out there to see like the monastery they've built on the one chunk of rock that you can build on out there.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah. So that's what you do when you're out and about there. Otherwise, you're just adventuring through the wilderness, which is effectively a conduit itself. It's the astral plane, of the material.
Interesting thought. Yeah, I suppose every plane could be a transitive plane. As long, if you're not in a dungeon, you're in transit, right?
Well, unless you're in the town, sort of thing. You know, like you go back there to spend your loot on, as the proverb goes, ale and whores. Or I guess, if you're playing a female, thing, he-whores? What's the male equivalent?
I don't know.
I'm going to call them he-whores because it sounds funny.
Okay.
So ale and he-whores. Or wine, whatever your choice of sort of thing. But yeah, by and large, you've got point A, point B, and then the point in between is the conduit. In the bigger planes, it's, the astral was the conduit. So then can we rule the astral plane out as this concept of a hub? Because although you have to cross it, there isn't any spot in between for you to stop at. It's a continual motion sort of issue.
I guess, yeah. If that's what if we're defining sort of.
So then that has to be a definitive point of this hub. It has to be where you stop moving for a little bit. You don't just keep on going through.
I guess so, because
you stop to meet an informant or the person that knows to help you out with the other half of the map on the other side of the plains.
Okay, a place where you stop is like maybe a town built on top of some kind of already existing. Like a nexus, like a connection between many places.
Okay,
and then,
picture this.
Okay.
Cuboidal world. This nexus hub point is where the three vertices interconnect.
Like on one corner or at the center of the cube?
At the corner, sort of thing.
Okay.
It's a corner, like, it meets, so if you want to get to any of these three faces on, like, the half of this cube world, this is where, like, the nexus is. It's that one point before you, like, switch, 90-degree gravity shift going over there. They've trimmed it down a little bit so you get a nice little flat spot on the thing there. Mm-hmm. And, bang, there you go.
I think it do. And then you can picture sort of all these different sort of alien cultures all, like, converging, and, like, there's a district for, this other alien culture in this district, and there's an elf district because elves are real in this reality. Oh,
but only on the, like, the fourth face.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's all these worlds collide, and it's like, I guess if you're doing fiction like that, and you need at a real world example, you take something like the trade cities, like Singapore, Hong
Old
Kong.
New York qualifies.
New York, yeah.
Old New York qualifies a little bit more than modern New York, I believe. Because that way you get your poverty and your shacks and your whatnot towns there to really show, it's not all fun and games. Like sometimes you lose in this great game of life. So keep your eyes alert.
Yeah, and you get, and London, I suppose, also, like...
London, definitely, yes.
People from all over the world sort of coming there.
Rome, in its heyday, all roads lead to Rome. Yeah. Rome was the ancient hub center of at least this part of the world.
I guess, yeah, it's kind of like a example. Uruk.
Very nice, very nice.
Or Sumer, or, the original cities, I guess, basically were that. That's how cities sort of started.
Well, they're for the local countryside, and then you build up from that, and then you get the cities going to other cities, and then someone winds up ruling all of them, which is a mind blow. How can you rule 2 cities? Oh my God. Next thing you know, you got your big old nations going on.
Yeah.
So, okay, so yes, the definitive point for a hub has to be that that's where you stop going. It's not just, like an access point to get to these other spots. It is where you stop. It's where things happen on their own there.
Yeah, and I think
and
because
they're not just
people
random encounters sort of thing as you're trudging through the woods.
Yeah, people set up shop there, and sort of people, there's an entrepreneurial spirit. There's like people heading off to gold rushes and things like that. So, yeah.
It's where the news fluctuates. This is where information has a value as much as any currency. Because you're out in the middle of the woods, I guess, like you're like 4 days away from any, like real civilized thing. Your wizard is not going to be able to buy food based on his knowledge of planar lore. Yeah, he's going to starve to death out there.
Well, depending on if it's the plane of dessert, then.
Hey, man, I'm still working up the notes to make my Candyland cosmology.
Candyland, yeah.
Don't spoil it.
You're fine there, but...
If he can kill the gummy bear, then he may eat and prosper for another day.
But if you find yourself on the plane of infinite famine, oh boy.
You'd wish you got summoned down to the pit of dishes.
Oh boy, yes.
So it all comes together now.
There's also the World Serpent Inn is a thing that came out, I think, in 3rd edition manual.
Yeah, it was a nice little supplemental thing they had. Nice little, hey, here for free as well. Take this. It's fun.
Like an inn, but I think it had like infinite corridors or something like that.
I believe it was an interesting take, because a lot of the stuff that they did for like D&D cosmology was based off like, hey, have you heard of this theory? Now, what if it was like real, like manifest? Like your ideas actually change reality. And they have the concept of an inn with an infinite number of rooms, where every room is occupied. And then you get a bus with infinite people coming on. I don't know where this is happening, how this is going on, but you got a bus, opens up an infinite number of people come out, and they all want a room for the night. How do you make room if every room in infinity is occupied?
Hilbert's Hotel, you're talking about?
Something like that, yeah.
Move everybody from room
N to room 2N. So they double up their...
2 times N, yeah. Or
and
N,
then you have like infinite number of free rooms again. You rent out infinite free rooms to those infinite people coming in, and you can keep this up forever. Because, multiple infinities, hooray! So I think it was something like that. So it was like that works nice for a hotel, but we're working in a land with, like booze, like is a prime motivator for dwarves going on here. What if it was an inn?
Yeah, or a tavern.
Yeah, tavern. And I guess it's like a much more connected series, of locations than the infinite staircase in that way too.
Yeah.
The staircase is infinite staircases. It's like, yeah, but you know what? You can't buy ale there. You can't get yourself some salted peanuts. So I was like, hey, that's true. Like, why are we walking on all these stairs when we can just like have a beer and then go out to this plane here?
Yeah. What about like an underground, maybe literally like the sewer system where the Thieves Guilds are at? Like, imagine you're playing a campaign where you sort of have access to sort of these secret routes through a city, maybe like sewers or something like that.
But then would they still qualify as conduit or hub? Because you're making your way through that. Unless there's an underground hub where all the routes meet together, and then you got your black market going.
Yeah, your black market town, your little
which is an actual market, not just a bunch of villainous people selling what they can to each other. It's an actual market.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I will point out, the black market isn't like a legitimate market. You don't find an address for it. It's people selling things illicitly.
Yeah, but I think we've seen that in some D&D settings that existed. Like
I think underneath Waterdeep they got Skullport, which is a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
In which case, it's a double hub.
Yeah.
A double hubble.
So you got your main legitimate hub above,
or two sides of a coin sort of thing. Yeah. Your positive light side, and then your underdark side, your dark side going on here. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
In which case, I'm going to put the two of them together as still just one hub.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just counting the whole city as sort of a...
Well, it's a dual hub, but still a hub.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So is there any other properties we can definitively determine for a hub, like what it needs to have? I'm going to say it needs to have exclusivity for access. If you put like a city in the middle of a plain, let's just take like a green sheet, call it grass, plump down a little city in the center there. It's not really preventing somebody going from like one corner of this map to the other without going through the city.
Yeah.
So to have the hub, you need to have it be the only way you can get from A to B, or the only easy way you can get from A to B.
And sort of like on a material level, that could just be because of mountain ranges or oceans or seas or whatever. But yeah, if you want to get a little bit more fantasy with it, it could be these places are not physically connected via the same plane.
In which case, it would be like a different version of the astral plane. Instead of going from it, it would wind up being a nexus point where you have to go and stop there and then go to the next thing.
Yeah, and I kind of am fond of that idea, like of a planar nexus, like that you go to one place to get to all the others, like because the astrals. Yeah,
I would have liked it if they had set up the cosmology in D&D where the astral plane takes you to the divine realms, and the ethereal plane takes you to the elemental realms. So that way the material plane winds up being like this weird hinge joint that is the nexus. Why is everyone trying to, why are the demons trying to, take over the land? Well, it's the central area to be. You get yourself there, you deny access to other people. It's got tactical value.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, the material the material is sometimes described as that meeting of astral plane, the plane of ideas and concepts, meeting with the material as in like stuff and like
the physical
pure elements.
Blocks,
and then combining the two.
The elemental and the temperamentals, I always like to term it myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Ideas to form your temperament, and when you're made up of mass, there's your element. So, ba-ding, ba-ding, ba-doom.
So yeah, the material plane could even be, and sometimes,
which is a very good way to set up for a campaign. If that's like, why is this land important? Like, what makes this place so significant? It is the central linchpin of the cosmos. It may not seem like it, but it's where the upper planes and the lower planes meet. You're in the middle. It's where the elemental planes ring all together around the sides. It's where everything meets together. It's the midway point. If you control that, you deny access to all sorts of other ways.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring up Stargate too.
Very good. Yes.
Because they have kind of a hub. Only I guess it's a military hub because they haven't opened it up to civilians, right? It's just
probably for the best.
Yeah, but they have this military base around a Stargate on Earth.
Yes.
And then that's sort of a hub to other, like, lets you get to other Stargates in other.
Very nice.
Places in the galaxy.
So that's a weird sort of hub in that way because it's a decentralized hub.
Yeah.
In which case, you could qualify in this case if you're willing to bend your head, around a little bit. The hub is the area just outside each one of the portals, and that because of how distance works, instead of seeing it as like one on each different planet sort of thing, you bend your head around so that you remove the distance in between all of the Stargates, and that the hub itself would be the area all around all of the gates themselves.
Yeah.
A very interesting concept, a decentralized hub. I would have liked to have tried that in one of your old campaigns. I was saving up so much money for it.
Yeah.
I was going to wind up having like a portal system because it's like, well, like you can make portals come 17th level.
Yeah.
Like why have them be this out of the way? Like you have to travel like down into the dungeon and through here to get to the portal that'll take you to the other continent. It's like, why not just build a spot where trade is, easily accessible and workable? And I still got the notes and all that stuff set out. Some interesting trap-based systems, preventative measures to make sure you can't use it as a military strong point.
Right.
I did a lot of research on this. It turns out for D&D, if there's no area within 20 feet of the portal, you can't teleport there because it's got the range. You can't just teleport until there's a safe area. You can't teleport into solid rock, but the nearest safe spot. So one of the safety defense measures would have been basically, crushing stone, sealing down in 20 feet all around the portal.
Oh, yeah.
Seal it shut. No one goes through. Okay, false alarm, and just wait till we haul the ceiling back up into place, and I suppose it's all good.
Do you think sand would work?
Sand could also work very easily, and now that you mention it, I'm kind of kicking myself for not thinking about it. In my defense, though, if an invading army was coming, according to the 3rd edition traps, it's 10 dice 6 damage for proper save, instant death for failure. So it would have stopped an invading army pretty darn quickly.
Yeah.
Unless they all had 60 points or more and are passing all their saving throws.
But what sort of damage would a bunch of, if you drop sand all at once?
Suffocation damage, sure.
Not just pouring it on them, but actually sort of a sand, all of a sudden whoosh.
Open up the rafters and
open a big big door.
I could make an argument for the same damage but subdual instead, non-lethal damage.
Yeah.
Because it hits softer.
But then you'd suffocate.
Suffocation damage is the big one on that one. Undead might make for a better invading army then. They don't suffocate very well. So in case maybe I should stay on with my crushing ceiling trap within 20 feet.
With just rocks. Now, are you thinking sort of loosely head-sized rocks, or are you thinking
I'm thinking the entire ceiling as one entire piece coming down upon. Boom.
So
no.
Just like a press,
I was thinking all around the portal, keep the plus the thing. The portal doesn't need to be physical sort of thing, but I want to have a nice little thing where you have a bas relief of what's on the other side, make it all look nice and classy. Traders are coming by here. This is going to be a civilization focal point. You're not going to just wing it, man. You set up some class in here. So I'd have it be effectively a coin slot around a 20-meter radius plug stone. And anything goes wrong, pull the dead man switch, and anyone inside becomes a dead man.
Wouldn't it be release the dead man switch?
Pull release. I hadn't figured out exactly what sort of thing it goes with. I mean, this is not something you want to accidentally oh no, I tripped, grab whatever's there. No, you pulled it, and all of a sudden you squish a whole bunch of traders. This is going to have to be something you move your 2 keys in unison, open up the plexiglass container and hit the red button sort of thing.
Yeah, because I thought a dead man switch was somebody has to be holding it in order for it not to release.
Well, I call it a dead man switch because anyone inside the radius winds up becoming an instant dead man. It was a play on words, not the actual term for it. If I was feeling particularly sadistic, maybe make it as a dead man switch all the time. Okay. Switch your shift over. Okay, good. Okay. Phew. Every 8 hours, your moment of tension.
And it's hard to hold. It's greasy.
Well, I mean, you can't let go of it until somebody decides to come into work with a bunch of rope, just ties it around there, and I'm getting myself a sandwich. I'll see you guys in 8 hours. If anything wrong happens and someone tries to invade, cut the rope. But no, I hadn't figured out exactly how the whole thing was going. I definitely wanted to make certain this was going to wind up being accident-proof sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And hopefully largely sabotage-proof. But I hadn't figured that part out. That's why I hadn't gotten everything done, as I like to say. But it would have wound up being, for me, I would have had to have come up with a decision to either work it as a ring hub, because I wish I could have had something similar to the Stargate workout for it, where you can effectively dial up your location that you want to go to. Whereas the portals in D&D work out that it will take you from A to B. Once it's set in, permanent, it's basically there. There's some weird old ones they mentioned that has a shifting way. Like every 8 hours it'll take you to a different location amongst a long line of potentials. But I would have had to work it either as a ring, like A takes you to B, B takes you to C, C takes you to D, D takes you to A. Yeah. Or have it as an actual nexus whereby location A is where all the connecting points go, and then you just have a portal to A, B, C, D. Or sorry, B, C, D, all connecting to A. and I wasn't certain which way I wanted to work it. Or even work as a stacked thing, like A connects to B, C, D, but it also has a connection way to E, which connects out to an F hub, which goes to,
it's kind of subportals.
Yeah, kind of just contracting it down to other lesser groups. And that was the really big decision to make, because this would like change all of society to make it sort of thing. If I make it all connected up to this one location becomes the spot to be, the spot to attack, the spot to hold. Whereas if I spread things out, it's like, oh no, you own this one city, you're now the Lord Mayor of this one city, but that doesn't mean you own it all.
Yeah.
Of course, a ringed network also would have meant just taking out one area would have taken out everywhere else, so you can't loop back around. So if you're on a trading, like a caravan tour, and you want to get back to City A, and City B is on shutdown because orcs tried to attack, you're not getting back to A because you can't keep on going in its only a one-directional thing.
I have a feeling that mathematically, I think, the most efficient
I was looking into some of that stuff.
Because they've done studies on nature and sort of hubs and things, and I guess you can picture a tree branching.
I have done many
that,
work
right?
on hubs and different ways, because there's 4 main schools of thought as to how things go and how to determine usage patterns. I won't go into it, though, because I'm not certain if it properly applies. Suffice to say, if you do it wrong, you can say the most important part of a duck's habitat is the center of a pond. When they don't actually spend any time at the center of the pond, they spend their time going around the rushes and the reeds around the outer edge. But then you just determine the average location of where they are, and it winds up being the center of the lake where they don't go.
Yeah.
So, depending, you really have to sit down and think this stuff out, as to how it works out.
I imagine this probably, people work on this as far as, routes for trains, and even just if you have a company that needs to
Well, it's easy enough for Canada. Trains
deliveries.
just it goes along the one line.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go up north, you got to hit these terminal junctions.
But if you're even a delivery company in a large city, you have to work out where your truck routes are going to go, or if you need a warehouse or a holding house in a different
one central location warehouse or 2 location warehouses.
Or be like Amazon. Amazon again, hey folks, go to Amazon.
We're doing big things. You can't fault us for mentioning them time and again on this.
And they've sort of figured out that there's space in the truck, so just if you can actually increase your inventory or your efficiency just by counting your trucks as your warehouse space.
That's not just them. I have been told there's a permanent moving warehouse for Walmart's stuff.
Walmart too. Yeah.
As they go, I think apparently I've been told it's somewhat clockwise around the United States as they just keep on trucking all the way around forever. Which is really weird. But apparently it's cheaper than renting land out. Congratulations, greedy landowners charging high rates.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Cool.
In which case, the hub from this one point, you branched out into several different ways. So don't necessarily think of the hub as just the one location. As we've mentioned with the portals, you can have all sorts of really weird designs. In which case, like you were mentioning for this one spot for the cube world, you'd have all these different neighborhoods for the elf neighborhood and all that. Where in my portal network, instead of having the elf neighborhood and all that, you could still have the elven city. You just go through the portal to that one, and so it winds up being that each city becomes its own little suburb of the greater craziness of whatever it was I was going to wind up making.
Yeah.
There wasn't even terms for it. This is so far beyond the pale. There wasn't even a lexicon to use on this stuff, man. And
sometimes in D&D what they describe is sometimes they have planar shifts.
Oh, yeah.
So if you connect an area sometimes, with, a suburb of another city, sometimes that city will actually be planarly drawn to the other plane and become part of
especially
Sigil.
Within the Outlands sort of thing, where it's weird because it seems to indicate that there's some sort of centrifugal motion going on with respect to your morality. Mm-hmm. If you are a really evil person, you will have a hard time getting to the central spire in the Outlands, because every time you fall asleep, you wake up further out towards your aligned plane.
Yeah.
So you wind up having to make more progress, and one of the reasons why it's so hard to get in there is apparently you wind up needing to sleep, and you wind up waking up, what am I doing 100 miles away now?
It's interesting. It feels a little bit like that sort of Dante's Inferno, where he's like going on the journey to the center. He's like, and then it depends on his attitude, where like sometimes he finds himself getting pushed back, and like he's trying to go up paradise, and he's like, you're not holy enough or whatever, and it's like,
I can dig that. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about like the D&D thing. It's like those analogies. Suddenly it's actually extant and manifest. It is real. It's not analogy. It's actually how things operate. So in which case, apparently over on like the Abyss, whatever first plane of the Abyss is there, they've got all sorts of these former towns that were from the Outlands that wound up getting sucked in because everything was too chaotic and too evil. It's like, you lost another town there.
Yeah.
Got a new one built up.
So adventure-wise, we've talked about...
there was you go to the Planescape Torment game. One of the outer hub towns winds up getting sucked through, and you wind up bringing it back. Spoiler alert, I suppose.
So there's an adventure?
Yeah. Well, part of the adventure is you wind up bringing the town back across the threshold. I think it was Pandemonium, something like that. One of the crazier planes. A lot of chaos was happening. But you managed to bring it back by balancing things out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah. So what other adventures could you have sort of in that space of the sort of the transitory space, or?
Well, I mean the transitory space itself, the hub is Seattle of 2053 through 2073, and maybe even later for the Shadowrun setting.
Okay.
It is where the United Canadian and American States has their one port to the Pacific Rim, and the Pacific Rim's access, because a lot of the Native American nations along the coast have decided to either make one or two ports. Like Vancouver's still a port, but it's you got to work through them and through their stuff, and it's a little bit more rigorous there. Mm-hmm. You want to slip something through, a little shadow work going on, well, you go through Seattle that way. And so, in which case, the site itself winds up becoming the central part of the game. It takes the zeitgeist of what it is for the game, and it applies it to the one city of Seattle. I prefer 2063. That's just me. I'm sure 2073 and 2083 are very great times to be at Seattle. I like my Matrix the way I like my Matrix. What can I say?
So you like the 60s better than the 80s?
That, and I have the rule book for it, so it's a lot easier for me to play. But at 2063, I mean, the next bit of the net, the Matrix thing hadn't happened. The Renraku arcology had been shut down, and no one knows just why. And Dunkelzahn has just been assassinated, sort of thing. It's like, big things are happening. It's like, this is a tumultuous time, man.
Yeah.
The dragon that got elected president of the United Canadian American States got assassinated. Come on, how do you not want to play in a place where that is something that's happening, man? Wouldn't you want to be there? The president dragon is being assassinated?
Yeah.
Would you like me to convert that to D&D for you? We'll do that. We'll have a gold dragon as like the I guess he'll wind up. We'll call him prime minister. It'll be an actual democracy in the medieval setting. He winds up. He's the leader of the greater fictional races coalition. So you got your Elven province, your Dwarven province, your Gnomish province, and I don't know, maybe even a Greenskin province or something like that.
Okay.
And a bunch of PCs assassinates them. Why? It's a dragon. Kill it for the loot and experience, man.
Okay.
I killed the president of the greater nations, and then I now wear his skin as my armor.
Ooh.
You're not an adventurer. You are a psychotic madman underneath those lights, aren't you? But it's still dragon mail. Ooh, it works.
Yeah.
It's a good bonus. And it's gold, so it looks all nice and boss and shiny.
What about time nexuses?
Oh, a chronal portal.
Like, I guess the restaurant at the end of the universe is maybe something like that. Do you know?
It's a little commercial, but maybe it qualifies.
I don't know if that works as like a game setting, because it's very hard to do time travel.
I imagine there's a GURPS place for that, because with all the GURPS work they do and all the different worlds they've got, there's definitely got to be a GURPS time hub thing going on there.
Yeah. It seems like sometimes those are just written as sort of excuses to just, what if this?
What do you guys want to bring to the table today?
A World War II sold. No, wait, that Einstein was alive in World War II. What if
Einstein and Newton had to fight to the death in the Colosseum?
Every day.
Fair enough, time loop. Stable
at 6 o'clock.
Not bad, not bad. Well, heck, I mean, you could easily see some interesting monsters teleporting in on that sort of thing for a setting.
Mm-hmm.
Say, oh no, dinosaurs! We got to keep fighting dinosaurs now! Hooray! I think that works as a very interesting thing. But here's the concept with time. Let's imagine it along our own timeline. So we'll have like a portal, in this case, connecting to the dinosaur era, whatever era of your choice.
Okay.
And then we can work it also with we'll go with World War II. It was the event that helped keep the History Network alive until it decided to become the whatever it is they're doing now with trash pickers.
All right.
So yeah, we got World War II as a point. What's another good point in history?
Rome.
Yeah, I was thinking Rome.
Like Julius Caesar's Rome.
Yeah, okay, the Roman Empire sort of thing. The great philosophers were alive and doing their stuff then. Anything else we want to work out with for a time part?
Oh, one more time.
Future? Want to say the future?
Yeah, okay. 2100.
We'll say whatever, like you can buy like a blaster pistol in the stores.
Okay, yeah. So
whatever.
There's energy weapons available, and for some reason they haven't. The laws are like, it's the Wild West again in the future.
Oh yeah, there's another one. We'll put a Wild West portal in there.
Okay.
So here's my big question. Do you really need them to be different portals in time? Or could you just make them each thematically styled worlds? Like a Land of the Lost instead of your dinosaur one.
It would be easier to make them just their own worlds, yeah.
Or heck, and forget Land of the Lost. We'll take Skull Island, where you can get giant King Kong and like fighting like velociraptors. We'll put that one in there. That's where the portal goes. It doesn't go back to 65 million years. It just takes you to Skull Island, baby.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that does simplify it.
So in which case, provided you're not doing anything that winds up having repercussions in any of the other time portals, they're effectively isolated locations. They may as well be different stuff. It goes back to the same portal hub then. Just with really good stuff. In which case, now I'm feeling a little bad that my portal hub was going to wind up being for commerce and me effectively, like making lots of cash. Yeah. When I could have had, it's like, oh, what's this? There's a continent over here of dinosaurs. I'm putting a portal that way, baby.
Well, still cash because tourists would go.
Oh yeah, man! You take down one T-Rex, and then
you don't need Jurassic World if you can go to a world of the Jurassic World.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That should be what the next Jurassic movie series should be, like a time portal.
No, because I've actually got a plan for like a. Do you know of the Savage Lands?
Yeah.
In the Marvel universe, there's aliens decided to have like a game preserve, and so down on that one weird peninsula that points out of Antarctica, they've got a whole big area where they've got dinosaurs now. It's the Savage Land. And you've got your lizard people and all the other weird, crazy pulp era sort of fun stuff goes on there. You got your psychic vampire sort of thing, Sauron. It's actually a were pterodactyl. It's just a play on words. It's like Sauron, like the eye Sauron. It's Sauron as in soar. I'm Sauron.
Okay, yeah, soaring.
In which case, what I'd like to do is write a good story that would expand that to a savage world. Where the danger, because it's always like the Savage Land is in danger. Oh no, the stuff that always keeps it tropical is winding up for failing. Shunt it off to, they've recently, smashed all the realities down into one little battle world sort of thing. But that's not going to last forever. But you just have a phased world where at any point in time, with the right phase frequency, bam, you go from downtown Manhattan to Savage World Manhattan, which is just, like the savage, tropical, dinosaur era stuff with crazy lizard men.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you don't have to go all the way down to Antarctica. All you need to do is get the right frequency phase attuner and you can pop yourself over.
Yeah. I guess now,
take that, baby.
The other thing...
So yeah, Jurassic World, no, I can't do that, where you actually go back in time. No, don't want that. That's too close to my idea.
Alright, yeah. Would there be, we talked about we keep talking about these portals. Are portals effectively, instantaneous and free to use? Or do you think like someone would set up kind of a toll?
I had a toll booth system set up for my plan one.
Yeah.
Wasn't very much. The average commoner could have afforded it.
Okay. So
or at least, like on foot travel, like sort of thing. If they're taking like an ox cart with them, it's going to cost them more money. But if you want to go on foot, it wasn't going to be expensive. So that way, even the common man could see all the great sights of all the wonderful places I'm connecting it up to.
And is it now in yours? Is it just sort of set up like an airport gate? Like if somebody were to rush it, or like an army, like you were talking about if an army came in, but maybe if a guy tried to sneak past the guards or something,
there was going to be gates as well, sort of thing. You got proper trading hours.
You can't get through. Well, you can.
And all that. You could have snuck your way through. That said, I did have the thing set up whereby it would teleport things with the proper token that are holding it.
Okay,
so you could sneak in all you want, but I suppose unless you're sneaking in with the caravan, like actually in, I guess, like the barrel of apples, that the one trader's taken with him from.
I guess you can't have a token on. Well, you could have like a little thing that you stick on every.
It would have applied to like the entire caravan in this case. You got to hold it in whatever you're with.
Each wagon has one or something.
Yeah, it would have had like a big token for that sort of thing. Plunk it down and then just please deposit your token on the way out.
Yeah. Okay.
So that way you'd have to actually hitch a ride with to work yourself through, but you couldn't just like rush it and go through free. But it'd be like, like you pay your money and here's your token to go through. Like an invading army could have just, like smashed that window, take all the tokens, toss one to every soldier, march ahead. So I had plans on that sort of thing.
Now, I don't know if I should ask, but competition, like if it's so easy for you to set one up.
It was not easy. It required effectively 17th level powers and abilities with the right feat.
Okay.
And an expenditure of nothing less than about 250,000 gold pieces.
Per portal?
Per portal.
Yeah, okay.
This is more expensive than all but the most expensive of the magical items in the 3.5 Dungeon Master's Guide.
I guess you could almost build a road for that amount.
Yeah, but it would have been a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And that way, this one would have changed the landscape sort of thing, like which way things move would have gone to the nearest portal, because why go over the mountain pass when it's like, dude, just portal, done.
That's true. And one other thing...
Bandits would have hated me, man. Oh, jeez.
Sometimes, like, depending on the setting, depending on the Dungeon Master...
Oh, by the way, I do want to mention that we refer to, in this case, portals as just like from A to B, conduit sort of thing, that way. A portal, in this case, could also refer to a mountain pass.
Okay, yeah.
And that it's the only way to get from this location to that one. So, like, it's not always magic we're talking about here. This is like, you could have, like the mountain path. Like, I've got a thing I've recently run you through. I'm working on seeing if I can't make it look a little professional. That winds up being the only way for so long travel. The only way you got to go through is through this mountain pass. It connects up to these mountain passes here. This is where my hub is, at the center of two passes.
Yeah.
So in which case, you can have mundane portals in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think a good port qualifies in the same way, that way, for aquatic. Yeah.
I wonder if port has the same word origin as portal. Probably.
Yeah. Yes, you were saying, though, sorry.
When you do, like, magical portals, though,
yes.
Sometimes they rely on other planes, like sometimes they might sort of go through the astral.
Yes, that was one of the things I was mentioning to you back in the day, like what are we looking at for some sort of astral craziness going on, and I believe you mentioned that there would have been astral confluences, because of all my connection portals and all that, there would have been very busy astral space on the other side.
Yeah.
Likely ethereal space as well.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
So there would I may have wound up being, I guess, under current legal statutes, liable for any astral incursions without definitive, methods to put it down as it pops in.
Okay, and I have one more thing to ask you about.
A little bit of time.
Yeah. The sort of. What if we're not talking about, sort of transportation of mortals, but like the hub for dead souls or something like that?
Oh, the city of the dead.
Yeah, where like dead souls go and then
I had concepts for that in some campaigns I was planning on. Yeah, it would effectively wind up being that there'd be another plane, like coterminous, with the material plane. You die, you find yourself on the other side of, the other side of the veil, as they say, right? in which case it would be kind of like a version of the ethereal plane. You can kind of see over, and I guess as a ghost would have some sort of weird connection with it, because, like, instead of being ethereal creatures, they'd be whatever that one would be, the afterlife plane. And, you'd wind up having to venture to like a major city to get to, like, where the priests have their shrines, so you can, make your peace with the Lord of your choice, and off you go.
Yeah, and there's like ferrymen that take you off, and
that would be the like, each deity would have their own ferryman, effectively in this case, that goes out into the wilderness, goes out along to the pastoral thing, and claim those that are under the auspices of their deity. You'd have marks on yourself indicating to who you had bequeathed an alliance to. You sold your soul to a demon, that demon's mark is very heavily upon you. You cannot hitch a ride with another ferryman because, well, you're with the demon here. Sorry, you sold your soul.
Well, I like the thought too that in theory you could fight off your, like, they don't, the main, like,
yeah,
demon
well, that's the thing, because, I mean, it's like, oh no, party wipe, and you're all dead. No. Now you got to journey to your afterlife, but you can still fight. It's going to still be awesome. You guys are going to have, like, awesome encounters on the other side, man.
Because your demon, he just sends a low-level lackey. He's like, okay, you're the soul collector for that region, so you go and get those guys. And he's like, okay, I got a truck out there. Okay.
What do you mean you made a deal with a 15th level guy? I've got 4 hit die. What do you think's going to happen here, boss? I'm going to pop back up in this infernal realm with a couple arrows coming out of some body parts, and I'm going to tell you exactly what happened now. They shot me. They shot me, boss. They don't want to come with you.
Okay, well, that sounds fun. But what if there was something like you had to negotiate with them or something, or they made a deal? They're like, yeah, I don't really like working with my boss, but I'm also under contract. But look, here's what we're going to do, and then sort of hatch a scheme.
I can dig that. That seems like not only a good plot twist for a campaign, but one heck of an entertaining fantasy novel.
Or you could, like, make a deal. It's like, yeah, I'll give you a couple more months to finish your quest before I, like, completely claim your mortal remains again. But, I am coming for you. But you gotta.
I got a little trick I can work with here. I can put a little extra notch on this mark here, and all of a sudden you wind up becoming a ghost, or a revenant. You can wind up completing your task because of the divine or infernal mandate. You got some extra allowance going on. It's like, well, you died, and your soul is mine. But your quest was actually going to ultimately benefit me, so I will allow you to revenant yourself back up. So, find where you left your body when you died, and just kind of hop back into it, and I'll allow you to pop back up. But you only have until the next full moon, and then you drop dead permanently, and your soul is mine once more.
Yeah.
Does that not sound like, one, both entertaining role-playing, and two, one heck of a good fantasy story?
Yeah, sounds like it's a great story.
There you go.
Yeah. Although, I guess we kind of got off track of hubs,
in which case, sorry, every major city or, I guess, temple where there's a proper shrine to a deity would act as a hub, but only for people of that alignment to that deity, sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
In which case, you have a very interesting specific hub that's hub to some, but not to all.
I like that, yeah.
So if you're in like a theocracy, every hub's a hub to this one god. But if you were a foreigner from another religion, oh man, you got a long way to travel.
Well, I like the thought too that can become an adventure space or a dungeon unto
I was
itself.
very much impressed with the afterlives in the Deities and Demigods book. The concept like, oh, you're Egyptian, now you die. Now you have to make your way across the desert in the afterlife and across the holy mountains and all that. It's like, yeah, journey.
Yeah, more adventures.
So I was thinking maybe like making it like a deep ethereal, shallow ethereal sort of thing, where if like, oh, I don't know where to go, you can just kind of go off on some sort of more metaphysical journey to make yourself to. You would never know where you'd wind up after the end of your journey, but it would be based on your alignment and your actions, sort of thing. So if you were a good person in life, you got nothing to fear. Whereas if you I gave lip service to the god, but I was really kind of a dick, and that's against the god's, like tenets. So I don't think I'll be making that journey anytime soon. I'll just be a ghost staying around in my old house. Ooh. I thought it had a lot of play for it. I'll have to look to see how things work in 5th edition. I might be able to hammer it into shape that way. Mm-hmm. But in which case, yes, you'd have a very interesting color-coded hub in this case. If you're, part of, religion red, the Temple of Red is your hub.
Yeah. And now, I guess to finish it off, there's probably other versions of hubs that we didn't even think of. Like,
well, I mean, that's the thing is there's a lot of varieties in this sort of case. We went with just the most obvious and the most likely to be encountered for both role-playing as well as storytelling purposes.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose, hubs, like you can even have, like, say, in this campaign world, the elemental plane of air is a hub, or something like that. Because air is somehow, like...
air's on all the prime material planes. So if you want to go there, you got to fly up, and then you wind up in the elemental plane of air, and then you come down the right way, and you land on the other world. In which case, airships wind up becoming transplanter ships.
Yeah, and you might have, or that might even be something like the Spelljammer setting or something like that.
Something a little bit more tight knit, and get rid of the phlogiston, and that way you go high enough in the air, you hit the elemental plane of air, then you have to find some way to properly go down to get into another world, sort of thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
In which case, you can avoid space entirely. You don't have to what happens if I keep going up? Well, you hit the elemental plane of air. Done.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the sky.
Although I suppose you're like, where are the stars exactly? I guess they could be elemental plane of air. Like,
well, here's the crazy thing. Figure this. For Minecraft, the world is infinite. You can walk an infinite number of squares in each, of the X and Y and Z axes and not hit the edge. It's infinite. You can keep walking, right? And yet the sun still sets every night.
Yeah.
How does the sun set on an infinite plane?
It grows infinitely large as it goes away infinitely distant.
Exactly. It is just mind-numbingly weird to start thinking about these infinities, and especially in D&D context. Like, the plane is infinitely big. How did the sun set? Oh, man, you blew my head. 50 experience points, I gotta sit down and just... Oh, dude, it's like... I gotta put on some Bob Marley records and get some of the wacky tobacco here. You've blown my mind. We're ending the session early tonight.
Though I like the thought that in a D&D world the sun could either just go in a giant hole,
which it sometimes does according to the cosmologists. It goes down to the underworld.
Yeah, or down into the mouth of the World Serpent or something.
Or you could just say that it dies at the end of each day and a new sun gets forged and thrown across the sky every dang day.
Yeah.
It's the spark and the ember from the forge god at creation.
And I suppose, if the plane is infinite, there might be other, like if you go to the place where the sun actually goes into the earth, like you find that hole, it's like, oh, okay, there the sun goes. Now you continue in that direction, and it's like you get darker and darker and darker, and you just barely see the sun in the distance, even rising and setting. It's like, Arctic cold, and further and further, and everything's frozen. Elemental plane of ice or something.
Oh, that's how you get there. Eh?
Or maybe there's another sun.
They both wind up crashing, and then they drop down. That's why it turns red. It's because it's hit the other sun, and it's just we're burning up now, crazy.
Yeah.
Or maybe the other sun is red, and that's why, when they crash together, you get the little red at the sunset. Meanwhile, over on the other side of things, it's like, the red sun, it turns, yellow at night, at sunset. Why does that happen? Well, it hits the yellow sun.
Yeah. Or maybe the other stars are sun. Oh, wait, stars are suns.
Yeah. Okay, that's another tangent for another day, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if listeners have thoughts they can add, they can... find us on Facebook.com/thesimulation.
It's a very good hub.
People can comment there.
You should be able to comment.
I think they can just post whatever, but they can comment on the episode that we upload.
Yes.
And that's all.
And then you can do it like the related stories thing where it's like, hey, I think you guys should do this.
Yeah. And I think I have said it. I was just wondering that because we haven't had other people post actual stories and stuff.
Geez, what if we've been denying them for 2.5 years?
I'll have to check on it. Yeah, but either way, you can comment on
almost 3 years now. Oh my goodness.
But you can also comment on YouTube.com/thesimulationist. Same old episodes, and you can email us.
Wait. What iteration is this again?
156.
This is the 3rd year anniversary.
Oh, really? We started
52
September
weeks a
2012.
year. We do it once a week. 52 times by 3 is 156.
Yeah. I think we started in September.
Okay, we're going to have to end this. We're going to have to have some celebratory muffins. Sorry about you guys. You don't get anything.
Wow, 3 years. Okay.
Yeah. It just suddenly occurred to me. Wait a minute. Those numbers divide perfectly. So, 3 years. Wow, man. Wow.
3 years worth of just talking about stories and simulations.
Nerdy things. Okay. All right.
What else? I'm on Twitter at SpaceBoot1 is my
the numeral 1.
Numeral 1 on Twitter is my Twitter handle. You can tweet at me, or you can even follow me if you feel like. I don't have very many followers still. After 3 years, you'd think but
you're going for quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
Although you wouldn't mind a little bit of both.
I wouldn't. Is that all the things? The email, thesimulationist@gmail.com. If there's a place where you find us on, like, iTunes has a spot for reviews, we'd love to have your reviews. And as many stars as you think we deserve.
They have not implemented our Dwarven rating system yet, so it has to go underneath the 5-star system.
Okay. So quick final thoughts at the end.
The hub is an essential part of many, many campaigns, many, many stories. And I think it should work as like the end of a chapter or the beginning of a new chapter sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It should clearly delineate the end of one, the beginning of another thing. And that's I guess, the ultimate essence of it. You leave this part, you start this part. If it's, you're going through it and it's still the same on both sides, if you cut it in the middle, then it's a conduit.
Yeah, and it's not quite. It's a little bit different from a home base too, because a home base is kind of like
unless you want to move your home base to the hub, in which case it's both. Hooray!
Yeah, okay.
In which case you can have each adventure be slightly different themed based on which way you're going out of this place. So yeah. All
right. Yeah. Cool. And I'm sure our listeners are thinking of all kinds of wild and crazy ideas for different versions of hubs that they could share with us.
Take it and make it your own. Make sure that when people say, yeah, he had a really great idea for his campaign, or her campaign, just say, yeah, it's got to be, make it definitively yours. The concept's been done before, but not by you, for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And for, I guess, your gamer friends and all that, too.
Yes.
So think about it that way.
All right. Well, are we both ready to sign off again?
I believe so.
For the week? Okay. Well, I've been Josh Trelev.
I've been Ryan Kirkby. Take care. We'll see you in 7 days.
And